Alright, I'm back for second day live feed. We're going to try to get a little more put into this Recreator 3D. See where else we can go with it. Hope everybody's doing good today. It's rainy here. And I got the printer still printing, so sorry about having the printer going. But I got a Captain Recreator printing, and he's about yay big. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's probably going to go to Earth with me. So I'll try to be a little better about keeping everything here on the bed. The table. It's been one of those days for me. So of course, getting the feet on here, one of the first things that I didn't do was keep one of the legs loose so that I could make sure that this sits on here good. Probably easier to do it like that. So I know I gotta scoot one over. I wonder if anybody else has the problem. They have like a certain size hex tool that they are constantly losing. I think I've got a handful of them and they're all gone. Missing. Drives me completely bananas. But it's my own doing. My father would say the gremlins are out, stealing our stuff. And I don't really have much to talk about today. Did not get the greatest sleep, and the weather is pretty dreary today. And it was pretty nice yesterday having some people on here to chit chat with, so we'll see where the live feed goes. So I don't know if anybody else has grown an addiction, but I have a tendency to go and find new bottles that I haven't been able to find. I'm not too even into sparkling water, but this blue is like the blue in Breaking Bad. Everybody wants it. So it's not really a blue that I see too often. Other colors that are in the US are pretty boring. For the most part, we only have transparent green, blue, and brown. Let's put this on next. And it'd be cool if we could actually start to get some more different colors from manufacturers. I don't really know what makes them choose their own colors and what they plan to go with. It seems the ginger ale for some reason is always in the green. I've never really looked into ginger ale or the ingredients and why it might be green over brown over clear. It's kind of like root beer is brown, but birch beer is clear. And that just kind of goes along with, I guess maybe the color that they choose, even though ginger ale isn't really green. You don't really see any blue flavoring other than water, so that tends to be the watercolor. But I definitely get jealous of some of the European colors I see. I've seen some really vibrant reds. Ooh, very vibrant reds. Like, just like that. Straight from a bottle. It's pretty crazy. Yellow that matches this color. So much fun. There's some examples in the Facebook group one of our users put up. And boy, they make me jealous every time I see them. Managed to find like one yellow, and that is on the key lime. And it was really, really hard to pull. So, who we got here? Robert Reynolds. Hello. I was looking into converting one of your enders to a Recreator. Is there a way to splice together? Thank you. Yeah, so if you've got an extra ender and you're looking to put it into a Recreator, the MK5 kit currently takes the Ender 3. And I've made that kit universal so that we can get other 3D printers into it as time goes on. But right now the Ender 3 is the main printer to get, or if you've got it, it's what's going in right now. So right now this is a 1.1.3 board. There's a 1.14. There's the 3.22. I think the most current is 3.26, well, I could be wrong. And I think there's a version somewhere in between there. So some of them have silent steppers, some of them don't. Some have firmware restrictions, as where the newer ones really don't. So I've tried to do my best as far as coming up with some G-code that just runs on the machines without doing any kind of firmware updates. Primarily the older boards have a different regime to update that firmware. It's not the easiest, so I wanted to really keep this easy for basic users to come in and just get recreating. So by not messing with the firmware, you can just easily get in and start doing all the fun stuff that everybody's doing. So I hope that answers your question, Robert, and there's plenty at the Facebook page for you to check out amongst what people are doing. And I'm also working on a unit. I haven't really released it yet. I've got no reason other than that I've just been lazy. But I'm trying to take an Ender 3 and splice in JST connectors, and then pretty much we're just taking the top part of the Recreator 3D with the frame and the handles, and that's gonna just get spliced in with male connectors. And so when you're not using your Ender 3 and you want to recreate, you just unsplice it and you use the main Ender 3 as the driver and power. And that way, if you've only got room and can only afford an Ender 3 and you can't really afford to buy another Ender 3 or salvage one, you can buy the one-up parts, which really makes this the cheapest option if you are trying to be frugal with your money and your build. And so a lot of people, they don't really have the space to have multiple printers or you know, a standalone Recreator, which is understandable. So it's a nice option to be able to just have that, and then when you're not recreating, you can go and take the Recreator and put it on the wall or another shelf and have your makerspace be nice and tidy. So hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll really try to push that forward. Now that I'm doing the live stream, it feels kind of cool to just get some quick video out and some ideas, so that'll be something I move forward on. So one of the things that I'm really glad I invested in was a lot of crimping tools and just JST connections and other wire connections, so terminal, assortments, and the Crimper Tool. These are just like, you know, everybody talks about how a lot of our wires come in soldered and they can get really hot, fuse themselves to the boards if anything ever goes wrong. And so you know you've got a good company when they actually take the time to put these ends onto the wires and not just use solder. So for the box and the tool, I think it was around $30, but if you're going to be doing this stuff often, it's really just really nice practice to have. I probably do it wrong, but as long as you can get a good fit on here and it's not coming off, that's kind of key. Once they're on here, it's super nice. It just really finishes it off, and if anybody's seeing your build, they know you took a little extra time and effort to put into it. And it's just general practice. Again, if you start seeing it on your actual printers coming in, you know that they took some time and effort to actually care about what they're doing. Gotta check my own notes now. Robert, you got another question. Thanks for keeping me occupied in the chats. Keeps the conversations going. Is it possible to splice filament together? Ah, the question that just banes my existence. So that at this point is the #1 request from the community is filament splicing. Yes, you can. I don't really recommend it at the moment because I've only had problems with it, and once you get to the point where crystallization happens, it can jam in the nozzle if you're not heating too hot beyond that crystallization. I also like to try to have my methods to be safe, and the methods that I've seen right now are just using a bare hot end and getting the filaments nice and hot, and then jamming them into a PTFE tube until they're solid and connected. And ultimately it's just one of those things where if you're using a PTFE tube and a Bowden style extruder, all the back and forth motion could cause a break in your fancy new seam. So it can be discouraging amongst trying to do a long print after you just spent an entire day seaming pieces of filament together, only for them to break at the extruder gear or again have been over crystallized and get jammed at the nozzle. I tend to only print at 260C. I've seen other people go above to 265, but from my understanding, once you go above 265, again, you're going to start to crystallize, but we're also starting to break the fume barriers. So PET is pretty safe to print with, but like anything else, once you start to break those barriers, you want to have a nice airflow going on so that you're just not in your basement sitting in it. Again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I've been doing it for the last year. I have not seen any issues with my own health. And like anything else, if you do, take caution to new things in your environment. A lot of people get into these things and they don't realize that they're going to be sensitive to maybe different materials and plastic. Funny enough, I usually get the JO filament. They're kind of my go-to with PLA Plus as well as PETG. And recently on one printer, the PETG really smelled horrible. I had to open up a window. It was the first time that I felt like I was really affected by it. And I don't know if the hot end was just baking it too much, but like I don't get the same smell with that filament in my Prusia. So I recently had to take that printer apart, and so I think it's maybe got some extra hot end issues, but I'm not too sure. But like I said, if you're going to be sensitive to it, keep your environment good. As far as splicing goes, there are several methods. I'm trying to get a Palette Pro so that we can do it more streamlined and professional. If you're going to be sitting here and pulling PET all day, it'd be nice just to have a machine, even if it does cost $400, to just take in multiple strands of filament and spit out that 1K filament that everybody wants a roll of. So if you can have a machine that automates it rather than just sitting there one by one and trying to seam pieces of filament together, that's the best bet. I am working on an individual seamer right now that just uses 2 hot ends in the middle with your heat block, and manually you should be able to seam them right now, but I have not gotten that far yet. So, but that is on the agenda. So I hope that answers that question for you, Robert. If you've got any more, keep them coming. So right now I'm gonna, I think, get the fans fed in from this side. Losing all my screws because I'm a screw loose. And I apologize for the sounds that we're all used to being 3D printers printing away on this side. Unfortunately, again, I got a Captain Recreator about this size printing, so I think it managed to be a good, let's see, we're on 2 days and 1 hour and 17 minutes. I think it was somewhere around maybe like 2.5, so I think I got another 5 to 6 hours going, but it's about to my ear length on our Captain Recreator, so almost there. Alright, I'm missing a motor. Got my motor, I'm just missing my wire. Be right back. And I'm back with my Fanta orange shirt. If you're looking for one of these, I got them at JCPenney. JCPenney isn't even around anymore, so I know they're going to be on their way out, like everything else these coming years. So for some reason, a lot of people think that we're going into other motor ports, but we're just staying with the extruder. So just find your E. Run that down here. So our blower fan, that's going to be constantly running. And so we're going to put that into the constantly running fan. And for this one, you just gotta have them stripped. We're not going to be putting a connector on there or anything. It's nothing crazy. Doesn't really need one. So just make sure your wires are a little twisted. We got some more people coming in. I'm trying to pay attention to actually doing the build as well as seeing who's chatting. So again, I appreciate everybody chatting. Thank you for the compliments. Robert, got your next question. Thank you for your work. Just love the idea. Is the PET material as strong as PETG? So again, with PET over Petg. The G is glycol, and that's the additive outside of PET. And without the glycol, the PET just, again, it ends up being more crystallization going on, so it's really good for high impact. And if you want, you can look up CNC Kitchen, and you should just be able to put in how strong is PET. And we sent him some filament to test with, and he did a really amazing video talking about how strong everything is. He did some tensile testing, and just to check that its impact and its strength resistance. So that was really cool. I didn't expect any of that when I sent it to him. He actually hooked us up with our latest slicer settings, which was super nice. I was going a little more fast in the 150% range for flow rate, so going down to 130 has really helped things out. I primarily stick with Cura as far as printing my stuff, and I've been using an Ender 3 as well as Kingroo. So yeah, you know, if you're trying to do like gears and stuff like that, I'm actually building an entire Recreator soon out of soda bottles. It's quite an endeavor, but I hope that it serves to show that a Recreator can recreate another Recreator, just like a 3D printer can recreate another 3D printer. So it's kind of one of those universal things that I think everybody's looking for. So yeah, it's a really robust material. Can take a little finesse to get it printing, especially depending on what machine you're using it on. But I highly suggest using it. It's really great. For a lot of people, they can't get filament even to their country. Africa right now struggles with importing filament into their country cost effectively. It's very much not, and they have an abundance of waste. They more or less just live amongst bottles and plastic, so if they're not able to import plastic and they're able to just take their waste and get rid of their waste and put it back into viable filament that they can 3D print with, that's game changing for countries that suffer with lack of recycling facilities and just, you know, a whole government that doesn't even care to try to help the situation. So I'm gonna butcher your name. I think it is horror. Oh my god, I am horrible with pronunciations, so I already butchered that. Horatio, right? Horatio Rodriguez. Thanks for being here, man. I hope you're still here. So you're very welcome. I'm glad that I could share this with everybody. For 3D parts, do you use PLA or PETG? So for the most part, you can pretty much get away with the entire build as PLA. The one thing that you want to have out of PETG, because it gets hot, is the mounting bracket. So I suggest that you print this with at least 50% infill, as it's going to be getting hot and it's going to be pulling forward. I've done a lot of revisions on this to get it to where it doesn't melt, as long as you're printing it in PETG with at least, you know, 3 walls and 50% infill. So, and then we've got the guide tool that the filament sits on while it goes into the spooler, and these should really be PETG. Primarily because, you know, we're printing this rod when it should be metal, but you can also buy the metal one if you wanted to. But this middle part does get hot, as far as if you don't use the fans, again, which you don't need to use these, they are just a suggestion. This main blower fan will make your hot end get cooler if you're looking to load the machine up faster, and our blower fan, that's just going to be keeping our filament cool as it's going in. If you start to touch it once the spool comes undone, it shouldn't be as hot with the fan. But again, the fans are not 100% needed. So if you're trying to just reduce another $12 or $20 and another 10 minutes from your build, you can alleviate them and not put them in. So again, just to rehash on that, the PLA, I'd suggest PLA Pro or Plus, just from standard PLA, just so that it's got a little more rigidity in it. And as far as the settings for a print, for the most part, if you do flow at 130%, you got your fan speed at 15. You're going to be doing 260C on the hot end, about 70C on the bed. You want your flow, your retraction to be 4.5, and your retraction speed to be 45. Print speed should be at about 30, though you can get into 35. 40 is pushing it. It should still be printed slow like Petg. Yeah, for the most part, I stick to 2 or 3 walls, and depending on what I'm printing will depend on my infill. So again, it's really robust material, can crystallize if you've got too much heat and it's going too slow. And I tend to avoid top layers just because, you know, once the added heat can crystallize. And you should probably definitely always have a heat block sock that will keep your just your heat nice and regulated, as well as once it starts to get to you know, fine parts of your print, it won't end up crystallizing on you. And so what it'll end up happening is it'll go from like crystal clear to a ghost just along your print. So if you're really excited with how your print's coming, but then it gets to the top and ends up going to a milky white, kind of, you know, ruins the aesthetic of final visual. So again, one of the cool things, just once you start getting into this stuff, is just getting the tools for wire crimping. Got some wire kits here, and just it's really nice to just be able to pull one of these out and start doing your thing as far as what you need. And if you ever have a fan that goes bunk and maybe you ordered the wrong fan as far as the connector goes, if you don't need the connector, you can just cut it off. Those are the best scenarios. But the worst scenarios are when you don't have the tool you need. So, you know, it probably cost a pretty penny to make a little toolbox. Pretty much just have a little shoebox with all my bits and gears and stuff in it, and the crimpers to do it. But for $100, if you're going to be doing this stuff every day, really just, it makes a big difference. Oh, from the Caribbean island, Dominican Republican. Thank you, man. Appreciate you being here. Really like the questions. Helps me out, keeps the feed going, keeps it interesting for people who are coming in. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. So on crimping wires, I'm probably going to do a whole video, not a whole video, but at least my JST connecting video, just on, you know, try to get into, actually getting into one of these. But I like to start with these little needle nose pliers, and once I fit my wire in there, I just crimp those down a little. So we got to come in with this big guy. He's got big crunchy teeth. Arrgh. And he's just going to smash the shit out of this wire if you let it. So you're going to get in there with the crimp just ever so much and give it a little kiss. Nothing crazy. If you go over, you get sloppy with it, you'll end up just cutting the wire right off. So I know you guys can't see it, and I don't have the greatest webcam going on right now, but I did just order an HDMI to USB adapter so that I can use my other cameras that I film with to hopefully live stream with. Because why spend more money on things you don't need, especially these days? Gotta check one thing. Just wanted to double check yellow and blue and what side they go into. And then you got two fans going on. You can either put it into the top fan here next to the heatsink, or the one right next to your nozzle heater. Just gonna put that right into the nozzle heater. So while we're working on the build, actually, I'm trying to prep everything for later on, but I always got these bottles going, so it's pretty fun. I got the community blower dryer, bottle dryer, and it's great. It comes with a little fan. You got the fan going in there, it's just a 5-volt fan, and got that little roof on there to protect it from any water that's going to come in. And then I just went to the Goodwill and I just got a 5-volt phone charger, and like I've been showing you with all these JSD connectors, I just spliced it in. Nothing crazy. And yeah, within an hour after I washed these and put them on here, they're dry. They were taken up to a couple days just within my basement with the humidity and everything, never really drying, but just the constant airflow from, again, just the 5-volt fan keeps it going, and they're nice and clean. I can just stick them in a trash bag as I need them and cut them down, so rather happy with that. At the end of the stream, I'll put the link in the description where you can go and download this and print it up, and it helps your production out a lot. So just wanted to show this off real quick while I was thinking about it. Okay, so that was my little ADHD moment, getting out of the motion. So let's get back to what we're working on. So I got my fans hooked up, my power, and my extruder wire. So I'm gonna get the power, which we've already hooked up to the frame. Got my slot so that my SD card can go in and out. And I'm just going to hook up the power into our power. Oh my god, I'm definitely going to butcher that screen name. Harkson! Harkson? Hi, I'm building my machine, but it isn't finished. Sorry, my English is not good. It's quite alright. We got a lot of people coming in from different areas of the globe, and I have been rather humbled to working with people, even if their English isn't good, because my English isn't good and I speak English. So, you know, I really Google Translate goes a long way, and I know it doesn't bring in mannerisms and different words that we use through just communications in different regions. So you gotta always tread lightly with how you're talking to people, and sometimes you can think you're being humorous or someone else is being humorous, and it just goes right over your head because it's just a region thing. So it is a blue and yellow color, and I published photos in your Facebook group. So I really appreciate that. I think I might have seen it, but I'm not sure. But we got a lot of activity coming into the Facebook group lately, and I'm super happy about that. So I'll try to take a look for it and comment on it, which I love seeing everybody's builds. I love that people are starting to really catch on to this and share your builds. I hope more people share videos of their process of pulling PET. I would love to do a demo, a show reel on YouTube, just of everybody's own projects going on for PET Pultrusion. So it would be really cool just seeing a bunch of recreators in a collective video of everybody recreating. I really want to start seeing what people are printing. So if you do have a recreator and you have been recreating, I would love to see what you're using the machine to do. I've had some people come in who don't even 3D print, that plan on using the filament strands for basket weaving, which I thought was super cool. I'm an artist before anything else, and I love creativity and hearing stuff like that. So when I grew up, we had a store local to us called the Recycle for Kids, and my mom would bring me there probably every weekend during the summer, and you'd be able to get a grocery bag, paper grocery bag for $3, and you could fill it up with all sorts of odds and ends. They had bottle caps from bottle cap manufacturer, they had paper from a paper company that pretty much, if you had waste or extra, it ended up at this place. And if you had a active imagination, for $3 you had an entire day's worth of activity to just keep you enthralled. I'd make robots, foam creatures, and all sorts of fun stuff. So that really goes back into this project as far as being able to recycle, you know, old printers. You know, a lot of people start to throw this stuff out. It's going to be a real big shame, and I'm going to shed a tear when I start seeing printers on the side of the road as trash. I'm going to run up to them and grab them and throw them in my car and make sure I, you know, get them back up and running. And even if you can't, then you can at least turn it into something else. And so I really want to start to see what other people can do with 3D printers. And, you know, I saw somebody make a stir bot. It's just a little robot that's you know, stirring, and you can do stuff like that with the rep wraps and just other 3D printer boards if you've got a little imagination and stuff like that. You know, you got somebody who's got disabilities, or even if you're a chef and you're just trying to, you need a bunch of stuff stirred. It's nice to have a little robot stirring for you while you're over here stirring like another robot, because, you know, half the time we feel like robots too, half of our time. So it's good to have things that are automated and machines that can work for us and really make life easier. So we can really look at, you know, our trash and what we look at as trash, and so many people just throw things out. I go to the Goodwill every week, and I grew up with kids laughing at other kids for going to the Goodwill, like, you're poor and you can't afford the good things at the store. But like anything else, like one person's trash is another's treasure, and I grew up with that mentality, and my parents really instilled that in me, that to try to use what you've got. And my dad's always taking things apart and try to put them back together. And they might not go back together all the time. They might have a couple screws loose, but I think we all got a couple screws loose. So if we can remember that, it'll keep us humbled. So again, I got my power. I'm now powered in here with my wire and my controller. Got my fan, and I even got an SD card in there, which I think is ready to go, but it might not be. So, but either way, we're gonna get the. Do I want to put this on first or then after? I'm gonna put it on first. So we're gonna get the screen on here, and I apologize. I'm just kind of free roaming. I'm not going off my directions or anything. So if you're here thinking I'm doing that, I'm not. This is day 2, my second time live streaming ever. The first one went pretty good and gave me some confidence in myself, which is where we're here right now. So I'm glad that other people are coming in. I got another person asking a question, which again, thank you for everybody asking questions, because that really keeps the live feed going. Keeps me talking about stuff that people might be interested in. German Zapata? Jermaine Zapata? Again, I'm sorry if I butcher anybody's names. Ever since I saw the MK3 pop up, I wanted to build one, but I was sad when I couldn't find the old printer in stock. Then I saw the MK5, and I was happy again. Yay! I can't wait to try it when I can get an Ender 3. I can't wait for you to try it when you get an Ender 3. I very much love hearing from people, and I love hearing these things that everybody, you know, the MK3, I really had a lot of intentions with that build, and like anything else, things change. Sometimes we have plans, but they don't go as we plan. I think that's life. That's the universe kind of keeping us humble and keeping us in check, so that we should never really be discouraged, even if we have discouragement. Try to understand that negatives are also learning lessons, and they just make us stronger and bring us up. So everybody wanted an Ender 3 who couldn't get an Xvico X3S, and the Xvico X3S is, you know, it's another clone. I personally, I work with them a lot, and I've gotten really used to them. So I had an abundance on hand, and I had the opportunity to get a bunch for batch 1, which, you know, rather excited me. Batch 1 kicked my ass, and financially it was all love, and a lot of people mentioned that they got something that they felt was worth a lot more than what they paid for, and ultimately that is very true. Which again never really discouraged me. This is a project of love. I really wanted to get this out to the people who wanted it. I wanted to personally see if I could do it. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of stuff I didn't prep for. I had a lot walls and problems that I had to overcome just to get them done. It was really good, but it was a lot of work. It was pretty much 24/7 for almost 3.5 months. So I got 17 units out, and I think total we got 21 Recreators that I've actually built personally that people have right now, and some people are using them, and some people have not had the time to get them out of the box, and that's okay too. So I'm glad that the kit, MK5 kit, is getting the attention that it's getting. Same with the MK3 Pro, but the MK5 kit's where we're going to be moving forward with that, and I don't know what's going to be coming. You know, I'm crossing my fingers. I got a few things going on that, again, I mentioned yesterday, but I don't really want to blow smoke or anything, get two people excited about something that might not happen, but you know, it's good. People want to get this into a lot of people's hands, and it's potential for a large company to help out, and it's something that I've been trying to shoot for. I really wanted Expico to get on board and help me out, but I don't think they're in the opportunity or even in the interest to move forward with just being involved in 3D printing sales, and ultimately they got away from Amazon primarily because how Amazon is with returns, and they will just take in anything, not even just 90 days. I've heard Amazon will buckle down back into an owner, and if an owner has had issues with the machine, even if the company said that there's a 3-year warranty, well, Amazon will honor that 3-year warranty within a return. And so there's been some returns I've gotten where people joke that it's an Amazon special, and it's literally just someone's 3-year-old printer covered in dust that's been used, just tossed back into a brand new box because they bought a new printer on Amazon and put the old one in the box and got their money back. So a lot of companies get really hurt by that, and we're going to see that this year, where I think a lot of companies, especially in China, that have to deal with shipping costs, and amongst everything that's going on with post-COVID, and who the hell knows what's going to go in. But you've got different supply chains right now that are still struggling. You can't get Raspberry Pis. The PlayStation 5 people still struggle to get. So the chip shortage is not just in 1 or 2 machines. It's in the whole industry, and it's not just that chip. It's supply chains. So we're going to start to see a lot of different things, just like Prusa coming into the U.S. That's a huge thing. And the mere fact that it makes their sales revenue 10 times easier to get out into the people in the U.S. Now people don't have to wait almost 2 months just to get their printer. They'll be able to get it in 2 weeks because it's right in our hometown now. So it's really great. So we're going to start to see more things like that happen. A lot of different changes coming in. So I hope people are ready for it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's going to make us all think about what we're doing and our supply chains, and I think it's going to help everybody grow. I have short screws and I need to find some long screws, so I will be right back. So while I'm in it, I would highly suggest to anybody who has a Harbor Freight to be able to go to Harbor Freight and Pick one of these up. They're about $7, sometimes 10. But it is a storage bin case that they offer, and it's really cool once you get into your small parts. You got a lot of small parts. I got about 10 of those growing now, and you can just print these up. These are really cool to print in PET. Small, you get about 2 out of a soda bottle, and yeah, it just helps really organize your stuff and keeps things in a good spot. And it's always good to have all your small parts in a good storage bin and easy to access, and that might be not 100% organized, but at least all your small parts are in one spot, and that helps the overall organize. Definitely good for organization, and so if you're doing a lot of this stuff every day, which a lot of us aren't, I don't say everybody's got to run out and get a storage bin, but once you get into 3D printing and you've got more than one printer and you realize that you got to start to change the nozzles out, all those small parts start to accumulate really fast. And it's just good to stay organized. I love my $1 shoe boxes, the plastic. You can get them from Target, Home Depot sells them, but really good for individual projects. So if you're trying to keep a project together with all your stuff in one thing, those shoe boxes, they stack on top of each other. I've got a whole wall of them because I got a lot of projects that I might not ever get to, but I think we all probably got them, right? So we've had 29 views and only 2 concurrent viewers, so to those 2 viewers who are still watching me, still listening to me, we are on an hour, and I appreciate you being here. If you got any more questions for me, you can feel free to ask, because that keeps the live stream interesting. Normally these builds, when I'm able to focus on them, take me about an hour and a half. I would say for someone else who's working on it, might take about 2 to 3 hours, especially if you are milling the hot end, which I already have all set, but you know, you got to get into the center there and core that out with a drill. And for the most part, you know, that's the most difficult part of this entire build, is getting a drill bit that you might not see locally too often. It is a stepless, it's not a stepped bit. I've seen them at Harbor Freight. I haven't seen them at Home Depot, surprisingly enough. And if you do use the stepped bit on the Ender 3, you want to go extremely slow, because you don't want any blowout happening. There are examples all over, not all over, but there's 1 or 2 examples of some people with blowout, and so the stepless is the way to go on that. Slow and steady. But if we do have anything moving forward in the future to make this any easier for people, that step will be eliminated for the average person. And hopefully we can get some parts to people that are just ready to go. But all that right now is just talk, so let's see what comes about in the next couple months. So So I'm trying my best to show people what I'm working on. I know it's not the best quality. Turns out it's only 720, even though I've got 1080 cameras going on. But again, I just bought an HDMI cable to USB so that I can use my better cameras that have better lenses. Because it's not about 720 or 1080, even though I know it is. But if you've got a good lens, that's what makes all the difference. So like I mentioned earlier, I spent $150 on a camera that I didn't even need because the $40 one was just as good, or bad, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. Alright, I can't get that nut in there, so let's see why. Oh. Jason Freeman's in the room. German. This is a good learning experience for those of us who want to build one. This is a pretty good learning experience. I'm trying to not really go in with my build notes, and I'm trying to make this fun. And again, I apologize for the printer, but I do have prints going on, so I reviewed yesterday's footage. I was pretty happy with it. I know listening to 3D printing isn't necessarily something you want to listen to when you're trying to 3D print yourself, but I think we're kind of all used to it at this point, so. If you're going to be in a 3D printing live chat, I think you got to expect some 3D printing going on. I'm here and I got no notification. Well, buddy, you're here, so you're notified. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Oh my god, I got such an itch in my nose. So rather than pick it and itch it, scratch it somewhere else that y'all can't see. It's like the one thing about live feed, you know? I don't even know what I got going on right now. Well, Jason, you're here. You're watching me. What's new, band? What's going on? Like anything else, I'm upside down. I'm putting this upside down. No one's even saying anything to me. And I got 5 people watching me right now. Someone should have been like, bro, putting that LCD upside down. That's the story of my build life. What's the story of yours? My printers are pretty quiet. I have an Elgu Saturn. Well, I hope that Elgu Saturn is quiet. You know, Tillery Sidewinder, those are pretty good to my knowledge. I keep the S2 in my bedroom and I can sleep when it's running. That's good to know. I don't think I could sleep with half my printers running. I tend to sleep with a fan just so that I can have some white noise going on. But I don't think 3D printing is considered white noise. Chaotic noise, angry noise, not white noise. Worked all day. Time to work all night. I'm not used to working all day. Yeah. Working all day sucks. Now you're home. And you're here with me. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to work all day and then come hang out with me, but I guess I appreciate it. Someone's got to be here. I'm a software engineer. These are hardware problems. That sounds like the typical software engineer response. Hardware guys are blaming the software engineers are blaming the hardware guys. Oh wow, everybody's just jerking each other off. Getting nothing done. Jason, got my Petg survey. What the fuck's a Petg? What's a Petg, bro? Is that a typo? Sounds weird. Crack. Is that how you say your name? Crack? Jesus, that's a name. Creek? Crack? Gotta get some G-code that make your steppers sound like a song. So, you know, depending on what you got going on and custom firmware and this and that, like we did play with some NG code, some Mario theme going on, and that was fun. Scared the shit out of me a couple times. Ultimately, got the G-code now where it just stops. If you do have the fans going on, it should kick the fan in to cool your hot end down for the next strip. And it should pull for about 2 liters worth of filament to kill a 2-liter bottle before it stops itself. But if you're only doing a 1-liter bottle and the machine's still running, you can just kill the power switch. Nothing crazy. You don't got to worry about anything getting harmed. If you're done, you're done. So rather than hitting stop and all the menu buttons, just kill the power. Let it cool down. Takes about maybe a minute, 5 minutes. It'll be nice and cool just to get the next strip in. So nothing too crazy. Just gonna make sure all my wires are tucked in here before I put this on. And I do give it a little, not a squeeze would be inside, but I pull the parts out just the side. Just be careful you're not breaking your unit. And again, I put all my screws and T-nuts in place already. So that kind of helps things get aligned a little. But like anything else, now I gotta like anything else, I put things on backwards, guys. So, gotta just turn that around. Happens to the best of us. Especially when we're at the end of our day. It was about 8 o'clock for me, I think. 7 or 8. I'm not too sure anymore. In the basement, you lose all track of time, and I just formatted my computer last week. I'm on a whole different time schedule than I should be. So yeah, I'm rather frustrated with myself at this point, because I don't know what to do for a minute. I got this all reversed on myself. I gotta think. got myself reversed. Alright, I've hit a predicament where I'm kind of confused. But if anybody talks to me, they understand that this happens. And I don't know if anybody else suffers from, I don't even know what you would call it. It's like a dyslexia. You end up building things in reverse. It happens to me on every build kit that I do. Not for the Recreator, so again I kind of streamlined it. I haven't built an MK5 unit in a month or two. And you gotta just kind of think about how things are gonna be on your case. And how you're gonna be working with it and everything. So I'm kind of in a moment where I'm confused on my own actions. So we're gonna think about this for a minute. Get my bearings going. I do just need to flip that around, and I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I'm just confusing myself. I think I'm just confusing myself. Probably just one of those days. All the rain that we got come in definitely had me having a weird day. Oh my god, you're killing the chat over here, Jason. I'm not even paying attention to you. What do you got going on, bro? You're laughing at me, you're crying at me. Don't install the motherboard backwards like me. Already did it. Already did it. It's just continuing to happen. Jinxed me and I didn't even pay attention to you. So yeah. Okay. Using myself. It's 8:37. Shit. Where the hell did the day go? The unused Ender 3 lying around. This might be a good project. 3D Experiments. That does sound like a good project for someone called 3D Experiments. So yes, this is a good project for you. You should start building one right now. As long as you don't think I'm wasting my time, but half of me right now not doing what I should be doing properly is trying to do this live and have fun and shoot the shit with everybody. So my ADHD's got me a bit scattered. Flip it around. I tried to tell you up there. Oh, you guys are watching me over here play with myself upside down. As they say on Reddit, username checks out. Yeah, it does check out. What else you got going on there with your 3D experiments? 3D experiments? Are you dabbling in anything else? As my dad tells me on Father's Day, Jason, everything is a happy mistake. I could never assemble and do a live stream. That's just nuts in my opinion. Yes, it is. I did my first one yesterday. It took me about 2 months of everybody telling me to just do it. And I finally did it and feel 10 times better about sitting here and doing it. Even though I've got this camera that I would love to update and a couple other things going on, but you know, it is what it is. We work with what we got. Gotta make do. So on the back end of this, I've left this screw hole and supposed to leave this screw hole emptied, so we're gonna just swap that out real quick. And that's going to be for our back handle. I've had several people tell me that I went handle crazy, but you never have enough things to hang on to in life. So we got the back handle, and that's going to go on here and here, and we'll add those a little later. So I think before we put on the other case, we're going to get our fans and our hot end established so that I don't keep messing around with these things. So on our fan, airflow is always going out the direction of the sticker. So if you've got the sticker facing things, that is where the airflow is going. Building a VZ Bot 330. I have no idea what that is. And you're converting an Ender 6 to a VZ Bot 235. Is that a Voron? I have no idea if that is a Voron or just something fun called the VZ Bot. Is it VZ to work with? 2 motors and an XY, an X, and 2 motors on the Y. Alright. Does that help things out? Keep it more consecutive, consistent? That part sucks a little. The rear handle. Well, you know, you suck a little. But yeah, it does suck a little. I'll give you that. So the rear handle is not needed. Everybody said that I did go a little handle crazy. And once you've got your power brick on here and your board on here, you don't need the handles. You could come up with some 2040 end cap and you could just use the back handle. Or you don't need any handles. I don't care. Do whatever you want. You know? So, I like to hang on to things. Gives you good grip. You can travel with it really easy. You can hang it on the wall. You can do a bunch of different things. But again, ultimately, if you don't want to, I don't care. Do what you want. So The rear handle, I think I suggested to use probably a length of screw that's just a smidge too long. So I'll have to go and update that now that we're talking about it. But yeah, you do want to go and use a slightly smaller screw than what I suggested using. And that should make things a little tighter to the frame so that it's not loosey-goosey. I use it, but it's hard to get all tightened out. Yep, that's what I just read. And if you don't make your own, what's the point? So I like kits, kinda, sorta, not really. One of the first kits I put together was the Xvico X3, and that just had horrible directions. And then I got an Ender, it's not an Ender 2 directly, but it was pretty much the first Ender 2, more of like a bastard child, it seemed like, from Reality, because you just couldn't find it anywhere. And then it got cloned by, I think, like XYZ or some KS3 or something like that, and all over eBay you can find them for like $1.80. And so that was like a 100% build kit. I actually just gave that unit out to somebody who was just looking for some help getting a printer. And that's been fun, seeing them do their thing and get that done. So my bolts are a little too long for me. So I might have to use some different ones. Yeah. Really avoiding trying to use silver, which is a silly thing for me if I don't have the stuff to do it properly, so I might as well just use what I got. Use what you got, people. Don't spend more money where you don't need to. Use what your mama gave ya. When you have the handle and the sides with the bolt through it, it's hard to get the T-nut on. You see? I do see. I know what you mean. So you sneak the T-nuts in a little, and then you gotta angle the unit just right where you can catch the T-nut with the hex tool, and then jam your screw in there. Screw it. So yeah, it's I hear you, man. It's I didn't make it that easy. I gotta keep some things a little tricky for some people, just to keep you on your toes. It's free, you know. You'll see. I know I see. I made the damn thing. I've made a bunch of these. I think I make these in my sleep now. I don't see anything for that. Just a bunch of endless night's sleep. How is the recycled filament to print with? Well, I touched on that earlier, but I can touch on it again. It's pretty easy to work with. That's my answer. It's pretty easy to work with. I'm trying to find a hex tool now. Be right back. I swear my hex tools, I said I got a fistful of each type. Gremlins come out and they steal them from me. The hex gremlins. So I put a tool down, I spin around for 5 minutes, and eventually I find it. Even though I've been staring at it for 20 minutes. So the filament, it prints good. It's nice and it's robust. It's good for gears and things you need to have some strength and rigidity. Ultimately, you can print up trinkets and everything else. Where are we at? An hour and a half? We'll try to go to 2 hours. I think we got 2 hours, but so this is where I'm kind of at with what I'm working on. So all these were printed out of soda bottle. They were on the larger end of print times, so this was about a 10 to 12 hour print for the gear. The back was about a six hour print, maybe 5 hour print, I forget. But anyway, I'm working on the full Recreator in PET. So you can see, based on that it's very good material to work with. So I've been printing up different things. I got my maker token that I made. And one of my favorite things to print are just these little soda bottle containers. And this one holds some SD cards. And then you can just take your soda bottle cap and reuse it on that. So it's meta. All the kids love it these days. Drives me bullshit. But yeah, you know, everybody wants a soda bottle printed from soda bottles. Why? Kids these days. Alright, where are we at with the feed? You guys, Jason killing it with the feed. Thank you, my friend, keeping me chatting. What we got? Free true statement right there. You made a bunch of the MK5s. I know you did with the MK3 Pro. So I've made, jeez, I think I've made oh my gosh. I think I've made my brain go crazy. I'm trying to find the right bit for these screws. And it's not happening, man. Those hex gremlins. There we go. We found it. So what the hell was I talking about? MK5 and the MK3. I have made probably about 18 MK3 Pro units. 4 were like beta. I have the first one. Joel Telling has number 4. Nick Jones, who does the software, has number 2. And then this guy Brian, he's got one, the number 3, which I'm not too sure. I have not heard from him in a while, despite reaching out. Oh my god, I think it's Brian. I'm so bad with names. If anybody ever reaches out to me, I have not forgotten your name. It just never registered and stayed in my head. So just keep reminding me. As far as the MK5 kit, I have made 1, 2, and this is 3 MK5 kits personally. So again, it wasn't really the intention to make MK5 kits. I was going to be making MK3 Pros and using the Xvico, and things change. Life changes. So I don't know if I'll be making much more MK5 kits. I've got some parts to do that, and a lot of different boards that I was going to be making into MK5 kits to expand on the overall universalness of it. And with that in mind, I might just continue to sell those units, these units, as I make them and continue to grow the Recreator universe in expandability for what other people might be using for printers. Because it's pretty cool to be able to grab any kind of random printer, and like I mentioned with the A-Net, a couple people want to use that, but it's got its own like separate control board attached to the control board where everything connects to it separately, and then it's got like its own weird wire that connects all that to the main board. So, you know, you're gonna maybe run into different little things like that, especially if you're just trying to use the board as it is, as a printer, just as an extruder, and using your G-code to kind of get around the varying firmware restrictions that you might encounter with whatever printer you're deciding to use, if you can use it. And I say that the MK5 kit should be universal for most 3D printers, and I would say that that's probably 65 to 75% accurate based off of what some printers are able to do over others. But for the most part, this should be able to find a standard Ender 3 clone and work with it. As long as it's got Marlin firmware, you should be golden. And even if it's got rep wrap, you know, you just got to come up with the G-code to run the rep wrap. So I think the print out Facebook. So vase mode looks like it's pretty cool. I've never even really printed in vase mode, like ever, in 6 years of printing. It looks cool, and I think for the most part this filament should work pretty good with vase mode. And you know, printers, I just switched over to a 0.8 nozzle from a 0.4 nozzle, and the PET really holds up pretty well with the 0.8 nozzle. I don't want to say that it's better quality, but the speed, it eats about the same amount of filament, but the speed is cut in half. So ultimately, if you've got a 0.8 nozzle and you want to reduce your speed in half, it will eat a little more filament, but again, that speed is a nice difference. So like anything else, I already got this case hooked up, Jason, Freeman, and didn't hook up the rest of this. So that's my story of my life, story of the live feed. And we're almost at 2 hours. Probably a good time to wrap up for the night. I have no idea where this day even went. And I didn't even know if I was going to be able to live stream. But we're going to mount this anyway. And maybe I'll open up the case again later. Not on stream. And SD card holder. Is it easy to paint pet? Does paint adhere to it well? Painting. Painting. Have I painted pet yet? I think I've painted pet. Yes. I have spray painted it. It does hold the spray paint like anything else. I've seen other people paint directly onto it with craft paint. It seemed to hold up pretty good. Like anything else, you're probably going to want a couple coats. If you can get like a gray matte on it just to get a base coat on it, so whatever you're putting onto it has something to grip onto it. But for the most part, it's like printing and painting onto any other filament. You might want to sand it to get your layer lines down. I've been seeing a lot of people lately get like spackled spray paint, hammered spray paint, and a couple coats of that. Even they got like plastic spray paint you can get now, and that stuff will go like right in between your lines. It's like almost like a gloop, and it gets in and it adheres to your layer lines so that you don't even know you've got them. So for the most part, you don't need to sand after that if you sprayed enough, and it's got like a nice stone texture or hammered texture afterwards. So it's good if you're doing like statue work. Yeah, Jason, you are number one from batch one, and yeah, I'm pretty happy to have you as number one. You've been really good. You're my good number one, man. You're like a left-hand, right-hand man within the group. You're seasoned. I'm glad to have you on board because you've definitely been running the show. I have to say that I'm surprised I even have to admin in my own group. I've got some really great people taking care of things for me. Half the time I wonder if people are even posting things, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of stuff and it's already been posted and approved, and I really appreciate that. It takes a lot of effort some days to run these groups and to keep them maintained and make sure people are not pissing in the sandbox and playing well with each other. So thank you for being a part of my crew. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being in this live stream. And I got a little fucking gnat flying around me. I've taken mine apart 3 times. Does that count? Yeah, you know, that's the reason I actually like my kit. You know, not to toot my own horn compared to other people's builds that are starting to come out. There are other builds that you could get that are probably a little less effort than mine. But I like the fact that I've kept mine with the 2040 profiles, as far as being able to still have things come in and be attached to it like this, just like what we're doing right now. I've got the colorizer tool that just gets mounted here. So for the most part, you know, anything that you want that you would be able to attach to the 2040 rail really just makes this whole kit expandable. So rather than having to drill into a piece of wood, or just even having wood, you know, like we're in here with nice fancy 2040 profiles, and for the most part our plastic is holding up, and yeah, I think that actually makes more of a fun do-it-yourself kit rather than having to deal with like wood and other things that just kind of make it feel chintzy. So I love the fact that I kept it with the Ender 3. Just really makes it more open-ended as far as the parts that you can get for it too. 3D experiments. I've got the original axe George Washington chopped down the cherry tree with. Bullshit. You got the real one. Lies. I had to replace the blade and the handle, but it occupies the same metaphysical space. You know, I'm that person that's like, yo, Jesus exists, maybe, sorta, but show me. And you got the original axe George Washington chop. I call bullshit. You need to go on to my JRT3D JRT3D group and join and show that to me. I don't want to call you a liar, but I think you're lying to me. Busted my nuts. I didn't want to call you out on the hot end too. Listen, man, you're calling me out on everything tonight. Busted my nuts too. He is a rough crowd, but he knows that I like to have my nuts busted, so it's okay. And thank you, Gary. Gary's the man. I just met Gary, and Gary's already done so much for me and so much for the group. So everybody's got to give Gary a big thank you, because Gary's getting us to Murph on Friday. So that should be pretty exciting. Gary, hopefully the floors aren't sweaty. Keep hearing everybody complaining about how the floors are going to be sweaty. 90 degrees. I hope you've got a personal AC unit attached to you. Smash it. If you can't get it to work, smash it. If you can't get it to open, smash it. Just got some duct tape, and you can duct tape it all. So yeah, if you're going to Murph, check out, we're probably going to be with LDO Motors, and that just kind of all happened this last week. So LDO Motors, Jason, I think, is the owner, and he was really nice to sponsor us for that, and he's hooking us up with his second table. And I got an MK5 or an MK3 Pro going down there for Gary to set up, and Jason at LDO Motors bought that unit directly as soon as I posted about it, so that was pretty cool. And so it's really cool. I hope to have Jason on board to play with us and pull some pet. It's always nice when people who see good things acknowledge that and want to be a part of it, so I'm super stoked about that. And again, I gotta really thank Gary, just taking the step up and getting stuff accommodating for me over there. And I don't expect it, but you know, if he can work it out, maybe we'll see some sort of live feed over there, and he's more than welcome to attach it to the Facebook group so that other people can see it. So yes, thank you, Gary. That is just so humbling, and I hope you and your son have a great time, and I hope that going and representing the Recreator opens up a lot of things for you in your experience there. I'm jealous, and I'm not. I don't do good in the heat, don't do good with sweating, and sweaty floors does not sound fun. So thanks for taking that bullet for me, and I'm sure you'll do a great show. Smash the gnat. Yeah, it's gone away, but they've been around. And so yeah, I streaming and building. I'm not made for multiple things at all. I pulled up the stream chat half my window instead of it being in a little quarter, so I can kind of pay a little more attention to it. But amongst now needing to take this off and my frustration here, trying to catch up with the feed, and we're going on almost 2 hours. I think it's a good time to wrap up soon. So we got 4 viewers now. We've had 47 views. 2 people just dipped out on that. So again, I appreciate whoever's left, and I think we're going to wrap up for the night, and if I've got time, I'll be back tomorrow, or maybe the next day. Gary, again, thank you for your due diligence with going to Murph, and everything you bring to us from that, and everybody who's joined me tonight for what I've managed to get put back into here. We got some of it done, and like anything else, if I wasn't building backwards, which tends to happen, and if I didn't need to have to take things off after attaching them, we'd be a little further than where we are, but that's life, and it's about the journey, not the destination. So again, happy travels, Gary. Thank you once more. Thank you for everybody else being here, and I'll probably catch you tomorrow. Happy recreating.